This is a demonstration of a consolidated single movement time lock mounted to a Joseph Hall combination lock 5 tumbler made in the late 1870s. Now the first thing I'm going to discuss is the wheel pack itself, or the tumblers, and these are shown here, and you have 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when they are all aligned, as you can see here, and I put the stick here where you can see it all aligned, that's when you're able to open the lock. And that is because this piece here, which is called a fence, is able to be depressed into this area and allow then the lock to be opened. Now, under normal circumstances, when the vault is closed, these would be all in different positions, and of course then the fence would not be able to drop all the way in, and the lock would be prevented from opening. Now, the way this is set, right now the lock is open. This is pushed inward. And this little mechanism here can go out and in. When it is out, it is locked. When it is in, it is open. So if you want to lock you want to set this on guard, you would have this time lock wound, and right now the time lock is at 4 hours currently. So it is wound up to 4 hours. You would then the bolt work would then be pushed outward to lock the door, and this piece here, which would normally be right about up here, because it's going to be riding on this wheel pack, which fits very snugly into this cylinder. It occupies this entire cylinder. So in reality, this fence would never be this low. It would be right around here. So anyway, as this when the door is closed, you would then spin the tumblers, which would have a cam on the back of this. It would then force this upward, and it would then lock on to this piece here. And now the time lock is holding the fence upward, so that if you even have the correct combination dialed in to where all 5 of the wheel packs would be lined up as they are right here, and they would be right inserted here and lined up with the fence, it wouldn't matter, because the fence is being held upward. It has to be able to drop slightly downward to allow the lock to then be opened. When this drops downward, say this time lock is now going down to 0, we're going to mimic that by pushing this. The fence would then drop, and again, it wouldn't drop that far. It would drop to probably right about, probably to right about here. And once that occurs, then it allows this to retract inward. So when this is set, this, you cannot with all your might push it inward, so it stays. Now, one of the problems that you have with this type of time lock is, of course, the fact that it has only one timer, which means that the possibility of failure is quite real. Unlike those where you have 2, 3, or even 4 independent time locks, which each one could open the put the time lock off guard and allow the vault to be opened. So these single chronometer mechanisms had a special feature, and that feature was this additional fence, which is right here, and you can just see it just protruding off of here. Normally it would be retracted, and it's connected to this silver bar here. And what you would do is, if this time lock failed, and let's say it failed at 4, right now it's not working, it will never open, it will hold this fence up forever and not allow the vault to ever be opened. So you would call then the Hall time lock company, and they would have the quote-unquote secret combination, and that secret combination would allow this wheel pack to, instead of being aligned this way to open the vault, would be aligned 90 degrees this way. Okay, so now it is inserted here, and if you dial in the secret combination to allow all 4 of these to align here, then you can have this move inward. Now you see, as this is beginning to move inward, it is also now overriding this time lock and is starting to move this piece here. So you see? Boom. So now what's happened is this has moved inward, and this fence has now been allowed to fall. And again, the wheel pack would be inside of this, and it would be right about to here. So what would then happen is you would then have this retracted backward again, and then you would be able to dial in the regular combination, and the fence would then fall properly from here. Oops, sorry, this got locked again. It shouldn't do that. Here. It would then fall downward. It would then allow this to then open like so. So that's how this worked. This whole mechanism here, which runs around the wheel pack and over to this separate fence here, is the emergency opening system to get around the fact that a single chronometer escapement would have a very not high likelihood, but had a real likelihood of having a failure at some given point in time. Now this was a transitional design. Obviously, having a way to bypass a time lock and secret combinations and so forth is rather goes against the whole principle of having a foolproof way of keeping people out of the vault, even with the correct combination, until a given point in time. But it was a very interesting device, fairly complicated, and of course that makes this to me a very attractive thing. The fact that this time lock worked directly on the combination lock itself, in other words, through holding up the fence, was a rather unusual way in the time lock industry for a time lock to work. Normally, time locks worked on the bolt work, the exterior bolt work, to prevent the door from opening, rather than actually interfering with the function of the combination lock itself. So on other time locks, such as Sargent and Greenleaf and Yale and so forth, you could always dial in the correct combination. You just simply could not retract the bolts to open the door. Whereas in this instance, you could not really dial in. I mean, you could dial in the correct combination, but the combination lock itself was disabled. And again, this is an unusual way to not a very popular way to do this in the time lock industry. There were a few other examples, but normally it was done through the operation of interfering with the bolt work of the vault door itself.